for 9 on third downs. They fell to 3-5-1, but they remain in first place in the division. Here's a frustrated Doug Peterson on their woes so far this year.
I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off at myself. I'm pissed off at the way we played, and it's just it frustrates me. It frustrates me to no end. We have too much pride, and I have too much pride. These players have too much pride. We work our ass off during the week. It is frustrating. Blame it on me all you want. I'll handle it with the players. You can blame it on me. I'm a big guy. I can handle it. We are killing ourselves. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. All those cliche little, statements is still showing up, and it's frustrating.
All right, so there's the coach taking a lot of the responsibility. Now, the bottom line of it is the quarterback gets paid a lot of money. He hasn't played well, but he hasn't been, by any means, the only problem. Greg, you put together some tape. What are you seeing from the Eagles' offense?
Well, you mentioned 0 for 9 on third down. The first time, Greeny, that the Eagles were held without a third down conversion since 2004. Let's look at it because it's tough to watch in some places. 3rd and 1 here. 7-man protection. It's 8 if you include the running back. They're only rushing for the Giants. It's 3rd and 1. They decide to put it in the hands of their quarterback. Call play action, have a tough play call, it's well covered, but you see the tight end working to the middle of the field just a half second longer, and it's a completion, but because Wentz is getting hit, the ball's off target, it's incomplete. Right here, double clutch by the Wentz right there. 2 clutches, the guy's open, it's man-to-man. You got a little pick route, it's the perfect play call, you got to deliver it, and this one requires absolutely no illustration. I just found it kind of funny. So I look at it, it's 3rd and 1, you're in plus territory, worst case scenario, you get stopped at the line of scrimmage. You go for it on 4th and 1 in plus territory. He trips over his left guard's foot. He's down. It becomes 4th and 5. Next thing you know, you're punting. It was just a cacophony of errors on 3rd down for the Eagles, and it led to what was a very disappointing result. They got to clean it up in regular down and distance, too, to make sure they're not in so many 3rd and longs in the second half. They averaged 3rd and 12 in the second half.
Now, those are the kinds of things that tend to happen when things are going against you. So, Marcus, as you watch them, if you were to put your finger on one thing, what is the biggest problem with the Eagles?
Listen, we talked about how they were injured on offense and offensive line struggles. The catalyst to this team was supposed to be defensively. And then you come out and let Daniel Jones go 17 for 17 when not under pressure, and also give up the quarterback run, which the Eagles have struggled with quite a bit. But when you look at this team play, right, and you look at the names, you look at the jerseys, it's supposed to be Fletcher Cox. It's supposed to be Brandon Graham. It's supposed to be those guys on that side of the ball kind of creating those situations for Carson Wentz and the offense to get a few more possessions, because we know they've struggled. We know Carson Wentz has struggled as well. So when you look at this game in totality, it looks like the Giants, this is me, it looks like the Giants are the better team in the NFC East. And as crazy as that sounds, at this point of the season, based on what they were able to do to Philly, who I thought was going to just take over this division the way it was looking, the Giants for the past couple of weeks have looked like a football team that's on the ascend and look like the best team in the NFC East, G.
No, I agree. If nothing else, they look like the team that cares the most, and they play hard, if not always well. So, Graziano, let me come to you here, because there's a lot of interesting dynamics. The quarterback obviously has the huge contract, but they drafted another one on the second round. They did. The coach won a Super Bowl not so long ago, the only one in the history of the franchise. That wasn't that long ago, and he did it without Wentz. So if this thing really goes south, what is the fallout?
I don't imagine that they move on from Doug Peterson this soon. It's 3 years since he delivered the only Super Bowl in franchise history. You would think you could dine out on that in Philadelphia for a very long time. But people are upset. I think the key thing to understand here is that Doug Peterson deserves the benefit of the doubt based on his record. The last couple of years, each of the last 2 years, the Eagles were under 500 going into December and went 4-1 to finish and make the playoffs. Obviously, you don't want to put yourself in that position every single year, but given the state of the division, there's still a game and a half in front. They have time and ability to turn it around. Guys are getting healthier. I think there's still reason to hope.
Okay, and listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again. They're going to win that division because of the tie. The tie is going to wind up having won them the division. RC, I can hear you from here. Okay, let's do Overreaction Tuesday. Graziano puts these together for us every week. You tell me if this is. I'm going to start right there. The Giants will win the NFC East. Is that an overreaction?
I still say it's an overreaction, though I agree with everything you and Marcus Spears said about how hard they play and how good they look in terms of being a team on the upswing, big picture. Still think the roster is a little bit thin. The quarterback hasn't turned the ball over in 2 straight games. If that continues, maybe I change my opinion, but we haven't seen enough from him over 2 years to expect that will. Giants on the come, but I still think they have a little too much ground to make up given the status of their roster.
Next, Cardinals will win the NFC West. Is that an overreaction?
I'm going with not an overreaction. I reserve the right to change my opinion based on Thursday night's game against the Seahawks. A huge, huge game, but they have the best point differential in the division. They have the best road record in the division. They still have 2 games left against NFC East teams, which is not to be underestimated. The Rams have already played all 4. So, yeah, they're in the mix.
And then the Buccaneers will win the NFC South. Is that an overreaction?
Obviously not an overreaction. We've been talking about it since the offseason, and they're right there behind the Saints. Now, they have to pass the Saints, obviously, because they lost to them twice, and therefore the Saints have the tiebreaker. But the Saints just lost their quarterback for we don't know how long. And think about this. The Buccaneers, I want the former players in here to chime in. The Buccaneers don't have to get on a plane again for a month. Their next road game is December 20th. Veteran team, some older guys, that matters this time of year. They have 3 home games and a bye.
Yeah, that's a very good point. They also don't have any cold weather games. They will not have to deal with that, which helps when you have a 43-year-old quarterback and more. So let me bring those guys back in here. And Marcus, I want to start with you because it confounds me. A week ago, we're having a conversation of what's wrong with the Bucs. They just got shellacked by the Saints. Now here we are. Oh, they clearly look like the team to beat. What does that mean? What are we supposed to say about them?
Well, first, we're supposed to say we've been on a damn roller coaster with them, G. That's number one. And then the second thing is they're the best team in the NFC now. Like, look, this is fluid. Like, everybody knows, like, when we watching these games, and obviously if Drew Brees hadn't gotten hurt, this would be a moot point. But the fact that Drew Brees is out for the New Orleans Saints obviously changes the dynamic of that. And Tampa is the next best thing when you start talking about teams that are complete. We talked about this team being complete. We talked about this team being able to manufacture yards at a high clip. And look, coaching has been responsible for the downfall. Tom Brady's play, trying to live and house himself within that coaching. But it looks like they got back to what they can do against the Carolina Panthers. Now, hopefully, that's what they take forward going the rest of the way, and that's the best team in the NFC.
All right, Jeff Saturday, let me come to you on putting it this way. If you had to bet that palatial estate of yours in Atlanta, Georgia there, on which team is going to wind up winning the NFC, do you take the Bucs?
I've been all in on the Bucs the whole time, Greeny. I'm not changing now, man. I've already pushed all in. You know what I mean? Listen, Swagoo said it. I fully agree. I think when you look at the Bucs, they are a complete football team. Again, Drew Brees' injury definitely helps and makes me feel much better about my push because I don't think he'll be back in 3 weeks. Probably not, more like a 6-week type thing in my opinion. But that's the only team that's really been their kryptonite. So as you're looking at this team, the only caveat I would say, the only issue for me with the Bucs offense is Tom Brady in the deep ball. That gives me concern when you talk about that portion, right? Because when you're talking about he has one of the lowest incompletion rates, or he has the highest incompletion rate of 20-plus yard balls downfield, that gives me pause and concern because that's really what BA wants to do. So when you're talking about that part has to get better. And here's the other part that no one talks about. That frustrates receivers. When Evans wins, he wants the ball. When AB wins, they want the ball, right? When Gronk wins, gets over the top, you got to make those plays. That has to happen for this Bucs to stay in that offensive rhythm.
Who would have thought we'd say Brady might be the question mark there? All right, Greg, same question to you. Who right now, you have to bet it all. Who's the team that wins the NFC?
Give me the Bucs.